This is a very long awaited video, and this is a video I have thought about filming even since before I broke up with my ex, and I know that this video is going to be powerful and I'm really excited for this video. And I have filmed this video once before, which is the version that was an hour that I posted about on my Instagram. And I just decided that that video was too stagnant for me. That video was not coming from the heart, and that video was not it, and I didn't feel like that video would help anyone. Because I was kind of denying what happened to me by not feeling the emotions as they came up. I was kind of this emotional wall, and I get like this sometimes. I definitely want to avoid saying that this happened to me. I'm embarrassed that I stayed with someone that did all of this to me. And I was embarrassed in the relationship, which led me to not ask for help. And I am embarrassed after the relationship, which makes me close off and makes me scared of love. So my intention for this video is, I know this will reach the right people that need to see it. I just want to help anyone that's in a similar situation as I was, because I so badly needed clarity. And I want you to know that clarity will come, and I hope that I will be a little stepping stone to that clarity for you. Abuse is hard, and it's different when someone is punching you in the face and is straight up about the abuse. The person I was with was very sneaky about the abuse, and it was harder for me to know. I just want to say, if you're confused in a relationship right now, if you don't know if it's abuse or not, I want you to know that that is a huge sign that it is abuse. And if you are with the correct person for you, not that there's ever a wrong person, I think that there's a right person for every situation in your life, but you're not with your divine partner if you are confused 24/7. I used to wake up confused. I would have little moments of, oh, I love this person, like I feel so lucky to be with them, but that was 10-15% of the time. And 90% of the time I was confused, I was lost, I felt hopeless. And I feel very vulnerable sharing that with you today. And I just hope this video gets to someone that really needs it, because I really needed someone to sit down with me and tell me everything that they have been through, and that it's not normal. And just because the person is not punching you in the face does not mean you are not being abused. If they are sneaky about it, honestly, that is even harder, because you don't know it's real. And I really felt like this wasn't happening to me. I felt like it couldn't happen to me. I felt like I was being a pussy. I felt like you were supposed to work things out with people. That's how I grew up. I grew up with my parents really trying to work it out, while my mom really trying to work it out, and not taking the signs that she should leave, you know. And it took her a long time to leave, and I really feel for her, because with this relationship it took me a long time to leave, and I get it. So I was with this person for 2 years, and I broke up with them 3 months ago. This video is not to call someone out. This video is to heal. This video is for love. This video is coming from the heart, and I hope that you can feel that radiating off of me right now. I made sure to sit down and do a meditation before this video. I feel like the light is really hitting. I feel like this is just the perfect time for me to be filming this video, and I feel really aligned right now. So let's get into this. If I cry, it's because it's only been 3 months, and this was a very traumatic situation for me. I'm not crying for pity, I'm not crying for sympathy, I'm not crying for anything like that, other than to feel my feelings and to let them pass. I have a little bit of an insecurity around crying, so just want to get that out of the way. And I just also want to say that I don't remember every single thing that happened in this relationship, so I'm going to focus on two main fights, two key things that really fucked with me, fucked with my head. And I will try to leave little traces of the exact things that he did to me, but it's hard because trauma kind of blocks those things out from you. And a lot of the things that he did I thought were normal because they happened so often. So I will try to just say exactly what I'm feeling, exactly what I remember, and I'm really trying to flow with this. So just bear with me. I hope you watched this entire video. I know this intro was really long, but I hope that you get my point, and I hope that my point really comes across today. Okay, so let's call this person Chad. I feel like that's the farthest thing from his name. So let's just call him Chad. Chad and I met on Tinder in September 2018, maybe August 2018, but we really started hanging out September 2018. I had to drive to him a lot. That was one of the first things. Everything was on my side. It was very one-sided. If I wanted to hang out with him, I had to drive to him. If I wanted him to come over, I had to drive to him, pick him up, bring him back to me. So we met. Everything was rainbows and butterflies and sunshine, and I'm being genuine about that. I really was like, when I met this dude, I was like, damn, like, this is crazy. This is love, you know? And that is called love bombing. He didn't know me, and he loved me. He did not know me. He didn't know anything about me. He knew what I looked like, and that's all he knew about me. You know, you can't love someone with just that information. And I didn't know any better. I thought that I had met the one. I thought that this was going to change my life. I thought that I was going to be with this person forever. And don't get me wrong, it changed my life, but not in the way that I thought whenever I first met him. Little things started happening at the beginning. He would comment on my clothes. He would comment on how I looked. And they were not positive. And I remember saying, hey, that hurts me. Can you not do that? Can you not say that? That doesn't feel good. And I remember him getting very defensive. This is something that happened a lot. He would get very defensive and say, oh, that's not what I meant. You are too sensitive. He would call me too sensitive all the time. And he would just kind of minimize what I was feeling. So because he did that, I minimized what I was feeling because truthfully, I didn't know any better. I was 19 when I met him. I'm 21, almost 22 now. So weird, I feel so old. But I knew no better. And I know if you're watching this video and you're in this situation, you don't know any better. And I promise you that you will get out whenever you're ready. And this situation is perfect for you, and you do not deserve anything that this person is doing for you, doing to you. But this situation is going to teach you a lot. And when you get out, you are going to be so grateful for the situation, even though that sounds so odd. But this situation has made me into a person I never thought I could be. I never thought I could break up with someone. I never thought that I could be alone. I never thought I could be thriving being alone. And I want you to know that you can. And that's the point I want to get across in this video. So I keep going back to that, but I just feel a lot of love towards you guys right now. And I feel a lot of love towards me and towards this situation. And this is a sacred situation. And I always looked at it like it was something awful that happened to me. And yeah, trauma is awful, but I really chose to go through this. And I really decided that this was something that I needed to learn from. Whenever I first met him, I'm not gonna lie, I had a deep down gut feeling that I should not be with him. I definitely didn't know what that meant. I didn't know how to listen to my intuition at the time. Now I know that that was my intuition saying, You can learn the lessons a different way. You don't have to go through this, but you can, you know, and I did. I chose to go through it, and that was perfect for me at the time. I may have known deep down that this relationship was going to hurt me, but in my brain, in my consciousness, I did not know. Within a month of dating, he told me he loved me. Well, he told me he loved me in a way that was saying he loved me, but he didn't say it. So he brought up this picture and said it had like the 3 loves thing. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that, but it's like your first love is blah, blah, blah. Your second love is blah, blah, blah. Your third love is the one, blah, blah, blah. I don't know, but he showed me that. He was like, you're this to me. Talking about the third love, which was like the ultimate, like soulmate connection, whatever. And I was like kind of confused by it because we had just started talking. We had just started being together. And I remember asking him, what do you mean by this? And he was very vague. That's also something too. If someone's not straight up with you, if someone loves you, they will tell you. They will not be sly. They will not be sneaky. They will not lead you in a direction to believe something if it's not true. So he told me he loved me without telling me that he loved me. He beat around the bush, and that's something I will no longer put up with because that's not a good sign. So because he said all this stuff and it made me so confused, I ended up saying I love you to him. It was kind of a like reverse psychology thing. It was like, hey, I love you, but I'm not gonna say it, but I'm gonna make you want me to say it, and then you're gonna say it, so I say it back to you. I said it to him, he said it back, and I felt like I got that little slice of what I needed. Keep in mind, he had already been tearing me down. He had already been commenting on how I look. He had already been commenting on my weight. He already had been commenting on what I dressed like and just everything about me. I think he did this to kind of test the waters, to see what I would do and see if I would leave. If someone like that came in my life now and they mentioned anything about anything that I looked like or wore or anything that was negative like that, I would be heading out the door, but I didn't know any better. So fast forward a couple weeks after we said I love you. Keep in mind, we said I love you probably 3 weeks after we met. We spent a lot of time together, so I really felt like I did love him. I didn't get tired of him. I didn't get tired of hanging out with him. About 4 weeks after we said I love you, he moved in with me. I was going through a situation where I had just moved back in with my parents from another relationship. I have a video on that. I'm not gonna really talk about that. I really jumped from relationship to relationship for about 6 years. So I have a video on that. You can watch that if you want to. I'll link it. I don't know what side it's on, but I'll link it. So I let him move in with me and live with me in the same room because he didn't like his family situation. He was living with his mom and he called his mom a drug addict, and he said all of these things about how she had a trap house. These are his words. And about how he didn't want to be there, and he was trying to get off drugs himself, and he didn't think that was a good situation for him. So I really felt for him. I really thought that he was trying to improve his life, and I was like, I like being around you all the time anyways, so might as well just move some stuff into here. So that happened, and whenever that started happening, I had to do a lot of work. Like I said, I had to drive him back and forth. But whenever he moved in with me, I had to drive him to and from work, which was 45 minutes away from where we lived. And I would have to go drop him off and go back home. And then at night, I would have to go pick him up and drive back home. So that was 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours of driving for me a day. And that was me really, really, really revolving my life around him and doing what he needed me to do to save him. I really had this like savior mentality where I wanted to help him. I wanted to fix him. So he moved in with me. Things honestly started getting a little physical. Like I said, I can't remember everything, but at this point, I remember him pushing me on the bed, along with the emotional, like, commenting, picking at me. I remember us getting into a fight and him pushing me on the bed, and I remember falling, and like stuff like that. Like, it really was little things that kept like adding up. Like I said, also, if this happened now, I would know better, but at the time I really didn't know better. I was from a family that was kind of toxic to each other, and we never really had a good, healthy relationship, and I was never really taught what love should look like. So within this time frame, probably of the first month that he started living with me, we thought that the reason we were fighting, well, I thought that the reason we were fighting was because we were trapped with my family. I was upset because I was living with my family and I didn't want to be around my dad, and we had no privacy, and we were trapped in this little room together. We didn't have a car. I was borrowing my mom's car all the time. And so we came up with this plan to move to Arizona. I had always wanted to do this. This is something I'd always wanted to do. I wanted to move states. I wanted to get out. I wanted to move away from my dad. So whenever someone was as crazy as I was, I felt like, and was willing to do that with me, I jumped on. I didn't even think about the fact that he was kind of mean to me. I was like, damn, like, I get to move states. I get to go somewhere else. I get to live my dream. Like, I get to go somewhere else and I get to experiment and I get to try new things, and like, I'm gonna be with this person that I love and everything's gonna be perfect because we're gonna be by ourselves and nobody's gonna be able to mess with us, is what I thought. So December 2018, I bought a car, a brand spanking new 2019 Toyota Camry. It was 2018 and I bought a 2019 Toyota Camry. I got it all fixed up with some red leather interior, and this car was expensive, and I've talked about this car a lot on my channel already, so I have some videos and I will link those as well. I have a car tour, me being really excited about the car, but then I also have a video talking about like the mistakes and it getting repossessed and all of that. So if you want to watch that, I will link it. Again, don't know which side, but I will link it. His excuse for not being put on the lease was, or not being put on the financing, was that he had awful credit. And when I think about it, so did I. So that's not really an excuse. But like I said, I wanted to save him. I wanted to get us out of there. And I thought that he was in the same mental space as I was. And I thought that we could make it work. So I signed the finance. I signed everything. And here I was, locked in a contract, paying $667 on a brand new car. First of all, without a job. We were about to move states. Without a job, nothing was sure, and all of this stuff, and it was just not a good situation. I really thought manifesting meant going out and getting it and then figuring out a way to hold on to it. I now know that that was forcing it, and I was forcing something to be meant for me when it wasn't meant for me. I think now it was meant for me in terms of a lesson, because I've learned a lot from having that car, but it definitely was not what I should have been doing at the time. So I got the car. He didn't have a license also. So I think that kind of went into the situation as well, of like him not being a part of it and him not signing his name because he didn't have a license. And I was just like, oh, that's too much trouble. Let me just do it. But he promised to help me pay for it, and I believed him. Foreshadowing. So I told my mom, I told my family that I was going to move to Arizona. They kind of didn't believe me. I think they thought I was crazy, because honestly I was acting a bit crazy. I got a new car without a job, and I just met this dude after I had been talking about my ex. I was obsessed with my ex, and I thought that my ex was my twin flame. and not the abusive ex, two boyfriends before him. Every time I broke up with someone, I would go back to thinking about my second boyfriend. And so I would tell my family about that. And then all of a sudden I met this new person and I was like, oh, we're meant to be. Like, he swept me off my feet, all this stuff. So I was acting kind of crazy. But the end of December came along. We saved up a little bit of money and we got his grandma to co-sign for us on an apartment. And we headed off to Arizona. We didn't have much money. I don't remember how much we had, but we didn't have much. Honestly, things were going really good. We didn't fight over the road trip. We didn't really fight about anything, which was kind of new. We didn't bicker, we didn't anything. So we got to Arizona, we settled in a little bit, and here is the biggest fight we had ever had. Keep everything in mind that I just said. We were stressed in a new situation by ourselves with no money, with no jobs, having to pay this $700 car payment along with insurance, which was like $250. So we're paying $1,000 on a car. We had to pay rent. We didn't have a job and all this stuff. And eventually we got into a big fight. And I will strip down this fight as much as I can. A lot of our fights happened and I didn't know what they were about. This is gonna be a common theme. I had no idea what was going on. He would just get angry and I would apologize, or I would say like, what's up? Like, let's talk about it, let's communicate. I'm a huge communicator, so I would definitely be like, hey, like, let's talk. I would always want him to talk to me and tell me what was going on. But he would give me the silent treatment, or he would tell me that I'm being too sensitive, it's not that serious, blah, 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 blah. So with this fight, everything is kind of blurry, but I will just say the things that I remember. So he did the thing where he shut off, he wouldn't tell me what was wrong, and he just didn't want to talk to me. So after about an hour of begging him to talk to me, I left. I decided to go do DoorDash, which is what we were doing for money. I decided to leave the apartment and I decided to give him space because I was like, okay, when I come back, he'll want to talk to me because I gave him space, and I mean, he just needs time to cool off. So I come back. The whole time I was doing DoorDash, I was very worried and I just wanted to talk to him. I wanted to know what was going on, and yeah, I come back, he's asleep. He still doesn't want to talk. I wake him up because I'm like, dude, we are talking. This is like going on hour 4 of this argument. I don't give a fuck if you're asleep. We need to talk. I was just very much in the mindset of like, we need to talk. We need to fix this. Like, why are you ignoring me? Like, why do you just want to ignore this whole situation? Because for me, I knew that the argument would last as long as I let it last, you know? And he would sulk and he would do all of this stuff and I would suffer because I have to sit in a room with him and just be on edge about if he's gonna be angry at me, if he's gonna be yelling at me, if he's gonna hurt me, if he's gonna do all of these things. So I was like, let's just get this shit over with and talk about it. So that's why I kept pushing so much to talk about it. I was stuck. Like, there was nowhere else I could go. I was in this room. The apartment we had was literally just a room, and we had roommates, so we were renting out a room on its own. So I was stuck in this room with him, and the only other place I could go was to do DoorDash, and I had done that already, unless I wanted to go sleep in the car, which is not normal. Like, I should not have to go sleep in the car because I don't want to argue with my boyfriend, or because he's giving me the silent treatment or anything like that. Like, that is so childish. And I remember saying that to him. I remember saying, you are being so childish, because I was speaking my mind, and he was. And he got very angry, and I will just kind of skip to this part. He ended up like choking me out. I remember him having his hands around me and me having my hands around him to try to like push him off. And also because I was angry too. I was like, why are you doing this to me? And I was trying to get him off, and I was angry, so I was taking that out on him as well. I remember me standing up and him pulling my hair like this and bringing me all the way to the ground. So from my head, my back bent all the way back down and hit on the floor. And when I was going down, I really heard my back crack all the way up, and I really thought he like really severely hurt me. I remember everything is like such a blur. Like it really happened in a very like condensed time. So I remember him being on top of me, him having his hand like this, and then he would hit my head onto the ground, and like this, and like this. I'm not trying to laugh, I just don't really know how to like act. I feel like I'm asking for pity, which is something that I'm trying to get over. But in reality, I'm just speaking my truth. This happened. He kind of conditioned me to think that I was dramatic and that I shouldn't talk about things like this. So I'm really trying to just get that out. I'm not trying to laugh. This is not funny. This is very serious. I just feel very uncomfortable talking about it. So he was banging my head into the floor. Imagine a guy on top of me banging my head into the floor. When he was doing that, I reached up and grabbed his balls, and I guess I like scratched them or something that will come into play later. I scratched them to get him off of me because he was banging my head into the floor. And then somehow we moved from that to then the chokehold thing that I was talking about, and then he grabbed the keys to my car and he was like, I'm gonna go crash your car. He used to make crazy threats like that all the time. Let's rewind a little bit. I thought he actually would do that because whenever we were in Oklahoma, we had a fight where I was driving and he was in the passenger seat, and he kept doing this to the steering wheel and pushing it towards the side of the highway. Again, these should have been major, major, major red flags. Like, I could have died from a lot of this stuff, and I'm so grateful to be alive, because some of the situations I was in were so freaking intense. But yeah, I would be driving and he would be doing that to try to get me to crash the car. So I really thought that he would crash the car. So I ran after him to try to get the keys from him. And I remember in that time of me running to get the keys from him, the keys sliced his hand. And I remember seeing blood all over the wall. And I remember looking him in his eyes and saying, look at this. Like, why are you doing this? Look, your blood is on the wall. Like, why is this so serious? What are we even arguing about? And he didn't feel anything, I don't think. And I ended up grabbing the keys. I ended up calling my mom. Sometime within all of this, I had told my mom what was going on, but not the physical part of it. I had told her that we were arguing because I didn't really have anyone else to talk to, and it was just me and him in a new state, you know, and I just needed my mom. So I told her, I think when I went to go out to do DoorDash, I had texted her or I had called her because I was upset. So after all the physical part of that I just described, I called her again and I was bawling on the phone. Imagine being a mom and getting this call from your daughter that just moved with someone that you don't know, like 1,000 miles away. I remember being so upset and on the phone being like, Mom, I don't know what to do. Like, do I call the cops? What do I do? And she advised me to call the cops, so I did. I felt so guilty about this for a long time, and I thought I did something wrong by calling the cops. So the cops got there. I met them at my car in the parking garage, and it was a male cop, and they took me into the leasing office. It was later at night, so no one was in the leasing office, but somehow they got in there. I don't really know how that works, but we went into the leasing office and they started questioning me. Keep in mind, I was very numb from the situation. The situation just happened. I literally just ran down the stairs, and 5 minutes later, I'm sitting here being questioned by the cops. And he asked me exactly what happened, and I didn't have a straight story because I was very shook. Like, not to say that in a funny way, but seriously, like, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what just happened. I don't know why it happened. And he asked me, like, what was the fight about? And I was like, genuinely, I don't know. Like, I just answered his questions to the best of my ability. But at that moment, I didn't know how to answer them. I didn't know what to say because I didn't know what was going on, you know? I was wearing a hoodie, and I realized after all of this that I had bruises all over, and I really feel like that's something they should have checked for. I didn't know I had bruises because I was shook out of my mind. You know, I was just given a concussion, and I didn't know I had bruises. I didn't even think of me. I was thinking of, oh, is he gonna be okay? I know that sounds crazy, but when you're in a situation like this, like, that's all I was thinking. I didn't want him to be angry at me. I didn't want to deal with the repercussions of me calling the cops, you know? So while I was being questioned, they went up to get him and question him. I don't know what he told them, but it ended up to where he showed them that I scratched his balls. And I ended up going to jail as well. So we both ended up being booked in jail that night. And because he had a little scratch, I went to jail. All night, I spent 9 hours in a jail cell after I got beat up. That is something I will never understand. And I remember I got to the jail, and one of the lady officers was like, I had something. I had like a little bruise peeking through, I think, out of my hoodie. And she was like, is this from the fight? And she asked the other cop, the male cop that booked me, that handcuffed me and all of that, and interrogated me. That's what it felt like, literally. And she asked him, she was like, did you see this? Did you take a picture of this? Like, why didn't you take a picture of this? And I was just kind of silent. I shut down when things like this happen, naturally. So I didn't really have anything to say. I didn't know if that was the only bruise. I didn't even think about it. But just looking back now, I wish she was the one that booked me, because she would have said can I see you? You know, do you have any more bruises? But yeah, no one asked, no one cared. I spent all night with my parents being traumatized because I had called my mom and then I disappeared for 13 hours, 14, 15 hours. And they found out that I was in jail. My dad called the place or whatever, and they were like, yeah, she's here, but we can't tell you what happened. And then, so I got out of jail. As soon as we got out, I just wanted to talk to him again. And I lived with him, and there was gonna need to be a conversation. And I didn't know how to deal with this. No one gave me advice. No one said, hey, don't go back and talk to him. You live with him, here's what you're supposed to do to get out of the situation. No one helped me. I was in a state by myself, and I didn't know where to go. I had nowhere else to go but that apartment. We lived together. So we walked to the apartment together the entire time. I was begging to talk to him, and eventually he was just like, okay, I'll talk to you. And we talked, and things kinda were better. Instead of a solid 12 out of 10, it was like an 8 out of 10 of anger from him. And so I thought things were getting better, and I went to the doctor that same day because I was not feeling good. That entire night that I was in the jail cell, my head was spinning, I was lightheaded, and I couldn't sleep the whole night. And I mean, that comes with going to jail, I feel. but I just felt like something was wrong. And I went to the doctor, and I remember the doctor looking at me and being like, did you get yourself out of this situation, or do you need help? And I was embarrassed, and I was just like, yeah, I'm good. Knowing that the guy that did that to me, I was gonna walk out to the car and he was gonna be right there. But I didn't know how to talk about that. I didn't know how to say that. I thought I did something wrong because I had just went to jail. I thought I was in the wrong. I thought that I shouldn't have called the cops, and I should have just worked this out on my own. And I just got myself in jail and all of this stuff, and I thought that I was in the wrong. So that's why I didn't tell anyone. That's why I minimized everything. But yeah, I had a concussion. He gave me a concussion, and I had bruises up and down my body. If I can find a photo, I have 2 photos, I think. If I can find them, I will insert them now. I feel embarrassed showing these because I feel like I don't have enough bruises to even honestly like be talking about this. But this was 10 days after the jail incident, or these pictures were taken January 28th, and we went to jail January 20th. So you can only imagine how bad they were before then, but this is when I got the balls to take pictures. Yeah, I had bruises everywhere, and I had a concussion. I kind of just learned to live with him. I kind of just learned what I would do that would piss him off and what I could do that wouldn't piss him off. And I kind of just lived my life on edge like that. Things started getting better. I didn't want to give up on being here in Arizona. Things got worse before they got better. We got kicked out of that apartment because the cops were called, and that was part of the lease agreement, was like, if the cops are called, you're out of here. I think it was because it was domestic violence, and in the lease it said like no domestic violence. So we got kicked out. We spent the entire month of March homeless, so we got to stay in the apartment a little bit longer. This fight happened on January 20th, 2019, 20 days after we had got there, and we stayed in the apartment until the end of February. So the whole month of March we were homeless. I had recently got a job, a serving job that was really good money, and during that month of March, he didn't have a job, so I was paying for everything, and I was paying for the car all by myself. I was paying for the Airbnbs, which was like $100 every night, and I was paying for everything. I was paying for my phone. I was paying for everything. I was paying for our food, our water, for me and him, to eat out because we didn't have a place to cook, and all of this stuff, and all my money was going down the drain, and I was working over 40 hours every week, and we were still homeless. Eventually I saved up enough money for us to get a new apartment, and we lived in that apartment for about a year. I'm just gonna speed this part up because nothing extremely huge happened. Keep in mind, when I say extremely huge, I mean like the jail fight. We had to go to like a counseling, domestic violence counseling for 6 months, and I thought that was helping. And I was just like, oh, we're learning from it. That's never gonna happen again. Although within the year of us living at that apartment, he had like ran out a bunch of times. We had gotten into fights where he would grab me. He left a hole in our door by like kicking it or punching it or whatever he would do when he was angry. He had a suicide attack where he threatened to kill himself in front of me, and all of this stuff. But I know it sounds silly, but to me all of this was normal because this is what had been happening from the start of our relationship. And yeah, we had a couple fights. When I say a couple, we probably had a good fight every month, every couple weeks. But then things would get really good, and then they would get really bad. So again, this entire year he was tearing me down. And then I got my family to move out and live with us. We had a 2-bedroom apartment, and I asked my mom to come move here with me. And I don't think she ever would have done that if I was in a healthy relationship. I think she came out to try to save me and to keep me safe. But her and my brother moved out and started living with me in July. So from April to July, I was living with him alone in that apartment. With these kind of relationships, things are up, things are down. So when things were good, they were really good. They were really, 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 really good. And when things were bad, they were really, really, really bad. So the good parts made me hold on through the bad parts, even though the good part was like 15% of the time, and the bad parts were like 80-90% of the time. But I was like, but the highs are so high, you know? And from the counseling, like, I was never really honest because I think I just felt embarrassed of everything, and I didn't want to be honest. I didn't know how to talk about it in a group setting, which is what the counseling was. It was like an AA type of shit for domestic violence, and it was like you go around in a circle and all of that. Luckily, I just want to say all of this is off my record. My record is spotless. So I was in like a diversion program, so all of that was able to be like wiped off my record. I'm good now. He didn't scar me in that way, just in trauma. Once my family moved in, the fights started getting quieter. I think because my family lived there, and the highs were higher, and we didn't fight as much. Whenever we would fight, it would be when we were doing DoorDash together. Not that we didn't fight at home, we definitely did, but like the bigger fights were when we were doing DoorDash. So I will lead us into the last fight that we ever had, just to kind of end out this video. I said that one was the most intense, but like this one was very like emotionally wrecking. So I don't want to compare the two situations. They were both awful, but just in different ways. So let me just lead you into the last fight we ever had. A little preface to this fight. A month previous to this fight that broke us up, a month previous, we had gone to an argument, a fight, whatever you want to call it, and he was physical with me. And he put my shirt, I was holding Bentley first of all, and I put my shirt, or he took my shirt and he put it over my head and like pushed me down and pushed me into the wall. Yeah. So, and I was with Bentley, which is my dog, and that fight was just really not okay. And I was like, you told me you would never put your hands on me again, and here you are putting your hands on me. And I remember saying, if you ever put your hands on me ever again, I will break up with you. And I remember him saying like, oh, so you're just gonna threaten me, you're just gonna like, you know that this is gonna happen again, basically was the underlying tone of this argument. But he was like, but I can't just fix things overnight, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, if you ever touch me again, we're done. So fast forward a month, I knew it was gonna happen eventually. I knew that he hadn't changed, so I was kind of just waiting for the fight that would break us up. This fight happened on DoorDash. He was driving and he got upset again. Couldn't tell you what I did. I don't know if that's just because I blocked it out or if really every single argument was just petty. Like I really think that every single fight, every single argument was just him getting triggered by something I said and him going off. You know, there was no talking with him. There was no sanity with him. It was just, you triggered me and this is your fault and I'm going to attack you. And I just want to clarify, after every single fight, he admitted he was wrong. And that's what would keep me holding on as well. He would admit, hey, like I was wrong. Sorry it took me so long to come to. I always regret this, blah, 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 blah. So it's not, he would always say something, but that doesn't make it okay, you know? But that's what would keep me holding on. But okay, so this fight, we were driving, he was driving, doing DoorDash, we got in an argument. It all happens very quickly. So whenever he decided he was mad, he took something from the back seat. It was like an empty, or not empty, it was like a bag from like food I had eaten earlier in the day, and he took the bag and he threw the bag on me. And the bag had butter, it had jelly, I had just eaten breakfast, so it had all the condiments because I didn't use them. It had all of that, and he bursted that on me. We were in a parking lot, so I got out, I took my phone, and I got out, I left the situation. He drove off and left me. Keep in mind, this is my car. He drove off with my car and left me in the middle of nowhere, 40 minutes away from home. I called my brother crying, dirty, embarrassed, and I remember calling my brother and him saying like, I would literally walk to you if I could, like just get an Uber, like something like that. And I remember walking into Subway, going to the bathroom, crying, trying to clean myself up. And then Chad, I haven't called him that this whole time, have I? Chad, sorry if that's like confusing since I wasn't using the name, but I hope that you can follow. I was in Subway bathroom and Chad started calling me. He started being like, are you gonna come home or what? I'm sure the cops are already on their way, because I had threatened to break up with him, and I said, if you ever touch me again, I will call the cops. I did not call the cops because I was too shook, you know? And I realized calling the cops didn't help last time, so I'm gonna have to deal with this on my own, is really what I thought. So he called me, he's like, I'll come get you, where are you? I was like, I'm at the place you left me, you ding dong. He came back and got me. He was very angry, but we kind of like toned it down. Our fights would go in waves. So it was hot, I got out of the car, it kind of toned down, I got back in the car, and then here we are again at another peak. And he's driving on the highway, and he is angry, and he starts calling me a bitch. He starts calling me all this stuff. He's like, why are you being such a bitch? Why are you, he used to call me names a lot too. So he'd be like, why are you being such a bitch? And he was driving, and he took my water bottle from me, which is like a reusable water bottle that I'd had for a long time, and I carried it with me everywhere, and he took it from me. He threw it out the window onto the highway, which is not safe, and he tried to get my phone from me, and I was like, no, like absolutely not. You are not taking my phone, and you are not throwing my phone out of the car window onto the highway, because I know that's what you're about to do, because you just did that to my water bottle. I know. And then I'm gonna be stuck here with you with no phone to get out, to call me an Uber, to go to my mom's house. At this time, I stopped living with my mom, and we were living in our own apartment. This is like over a span of 2 years, so I'm just kind of like fast forwarding. But I just kept thinking, like, I can't let him have my phone, because I'm gonna be stuck with this psychopath and be able to get nowhere. You know, that's what I was thinking of. And so he revs the engine, he starts driving very fast, and he's like, I will kill us both right now, give me your phone. And I'm like, no. And the fact that I said no and that I had a voice really pissed him off. Of course, he's not gonna crash the car because he would go to jail, you know. And he could possibly get hurt. So of course he doesn't want to get hurt, so he wouldn't crash the car. So I was like, I'm just gonna take this risk and I'm gonna say no. So I said no. He rips my shirt clean off me. I never wear a bra, so I was wearing just a t-shirt. He rips the t-shirt off of me. So I'm sitting here, butt-ass naked, in the car with this psychopath driving 90 miles an hour on the highway, getting off the exit at 90 miles per hour. And I'm sitting here with my titties out, And I just feel so violated. And I'm like, I can't believe you did that. And everything just started sinking in for me. Everything was just like, wow, like, he is not the person you thought he was. And I just felt so violated. And I was like, I'm sitting here naked. You threw my water bottle out the window. You don't care about me. You don't care about anything. You tried to throw my phone out the window. This is my car, and you're threatening to crash it, and you're threatening to kill me, and you're threatening to do all this stuff to me. Like, you don't love me, you know? And that's when it started really like sinking in. And I just want to mention some stuff that he had broken before this. He smashed my computer in before this. I think that was the previous fight that I was talking about, the like month before this happened. He had smashed my computer in. He broke my computer chair. He broke my camera tripod. And he was like that. He would break stuff. He would rip my clothes. I remember him cutting my clothes, my work clothes, so I wasn't able to go to work the next day. And then he would buy me new clothes and be like, haha, like, it's good, like, don't worry, like, I'll buy you new ones. Sorry, I was a crazy lunatic. And that would fix the situation for some reason. But yeah, so let's jump back to the story of the last fight. So he's driving like a crazy person. He drives us to the apartment, into the parking garage. So we both get out. I ended up putting on like a hoodie from the back seat, and that's how I like wasn't naked anymore. Keep in mind, it was 120 degrees and I was wearing a hoodie. We pull into the parking garage. I get out of the car. He locks the car and he runs over to the door and he locks me out of the apartment complex. He was able to do that because you need like a buzzer to get in, and he had the buzzer to get in. So he locked me in the parking garage out of my car. He took my keys with him, of course. And he took my keys with him, and he was sitting up in the apartment, and at least I had my phone, and I was in the parking garage sweating my ass off, just like crying and making a scene, bawling my eyes out in a hoodie. I'm sweating, and I just want to go up to the apartment. I just want to go to sleep at this point. Eventually, right before I call an Uber, he comes down and he's like, come inside. Like, do you want your keys? What do you want? And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go up, I'm gonna grab some stuff, and I'm gonna go to my mom's house. Because we were at a low of the argument, the fight, whatever you want to call it. And I started feeling a little bit safer. So I would feel not safe, and then it would go down to like, okay, he's not gonna hurt me right now, but it's a ticking time bomb, and I gotta go before another round of this starts. So we go up there, I start packing my shit, and he starts apologizing like crazy. He would do this sometimes. He would apologize and be like, oh, I didn't mean it. I don't leave me, all of this stuff. Like, I will never do this again. And I told him how it was, and I remember screaming at him saying, you don't love me. If you can do this to me, how am I supposed to have a kid with you? Because he had always wanted a family, and I'm like, how is any of this going to work? It's not. I cannot be here. You are a fucking dickhole. Like, I don't remember what I said to him, but I remember going off on him and him just sitting back and being like, wow. Like, I think he realized that I was right. I ended up leaving, and then I have a bunch of videos after this point. I can definitely make a part 2, but this video is an hour long and it's gonna take a long time for me to edit. So yeah, I broke up with him. Quite a bit of stuff happened after that, so if you want a part 2, I can do a part 2. It'll probably be shorter, but I can tell you everything that happened afterwards, because the breakup took a long time. and I can tell you everything that happened with that. So give this video a thumbs up if you want a part 2, or comment just so I know, so I don't film it and then like no one watches it. So if you want to see that, let me know. I hope you got something from this video, and I hope that me being vulnerable like this gets to someone out there. And if you're still watching this, I want you to know that I love you, and thank you for hearing me out. Thank you for hearing my story. If you ever want to talk, follow me on Instagram and DM me, and I am so happy to talk to you. And yeah, if you're going through something similar, I would really love to talk, because I don't know, I get you. And I hope this video jiggled some stuff in your brain and gave you a little bit of clarity of like what's okay and what's not. And just because someone is just calling you names and gaslighting you, that doesn't mean you gotta work stuff out. You do not have to work stuff out ever with anyone unless you want to, you know? And don't work stuff out just because you're scared to be alone, because I promise you, from me on the other side, it's so much better being alone. And I'm living on my mom's couch. I have nothing to my name. My car just got repossessed, and I'm so much more happy now than I was when I had everything, when I had a boyfriend, when I had an apartment, when I had money, when I had a car that was being paid for, you know? I just want you to know that it's not worth it to stay there. And it may seem like your world's gonna fall apart, but it's not. It's gonna fall apart from what you knew, yeah. But it's gonna build into something so much better. And it's gonna take time, but you've got this, you know? Focus on making friends, and focus on you, and focus on what you can do to make your life better for you, you know? So again, I hope you like this video. Let me know if you want that part 2, and I will see you guys in my next one. Thank you so much for listening to me. I love you.